Is it really like riding a bike?
That's what I just told you.
We're about to find out.
Do you not believe me?
We're about to find out. Actually, let these be the first words that I utter for 2024. You know how I said last year, it's fun to have skin in the game. It draws you into the sport.
Oh, yes.
It's absolutely true with me because I had Michigan in the Rose Bowl. Am I allowed to say the name of the contest? I don't know.
I'm sure not.
I can say like locations. I had Michigan.
In Pasadena.
In Pasadena. What a spectacular setting. What a spectacular setting. And I may or may not have gone pretty big on Michigan. I was Michigan -2. So I had Michigan, and that worked out for me. What an unbelievably exciting finish to that game. Then I had Texas. That did not work out so well for me, but I was heavier on Michigan than I was on Texas. And so I'm going to factor January 1 into my 2023 revenue stream and say, I honest to God came out like within $50 of where I began in the season.
But it's fun. I thought of you. I literally was watching the game thinking of you last night. I know.
And by the way, thank you to my friends at the Play Gun Lake Casino and Sportsbook app, all my friends in Michigan. And I'm going to tell you something, Michiganders. I feel your pain on Detroit and Dallas. That was bullshit. That was not right. Like they did everything right. They told the lineman comes in, he reports. Like if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. That was really not it was just not a good outcome for that game. This Sunday, Philadelphia, a 5-point road favorite against the G-Men at the Meadowlands. You know who I'm talking about. I mean, that Arizona game with Philly, holy smokes, like the wheels have just come off the bus in Philadelphia. And I used to think that Jalen was so intent, like that he was in the zone. And now I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know. Anyway, download the Play Gun Lake Casino app right now. All your favorite casino games are right at your fingertips. Plus, you can bet on all your favorite sports, as I have been doing and will continue to do. There's a great offer for new users. It's got to be wagered. Terms and conditions apply. See the website at playgunlake.com for details. Got to be 21. And in Michigan, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline, 1-800-270-7117. Well, it's been a long time since I've said these words, but now headlines from Smerconish.com and the daily newsletter. So, TC, this must be for real because it comes from the S.I. Newhouse School of Public Communications at Syracuse University.
Oh, yeah, that's completely legit.
Right?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yeah, and I linked to this. I'm going to make reference to a number of stories. Some are in today's newsletter, but some are largely from newsletters of the last couple of days because they're so good, and I don't want them to get lost.
Well, and you can find them all because the archives from Smerconish newsletters are all on Smerconish.com. So if you're looking for a specific article, they're there.
Right, as you had to do to try and help me prepare for this conversation.
Yep.
So, and I want to circle back to this. This is worthy of a segment. So, this is a report that comes out from the folks at Newhouse at Syracuse. Headline: The American Journalist Under Attack: Media, Trust, and Democracy. I love the presentation of this because it's a number of different findings accompanied by data. Most still see journalism going in the wrong direction. That's on the perception of journalists in the U.S. Newsrooms are still shrinking. That's another finding that they make. Journalists' median age is steady. That's another finding. Slight increase in the number of women journalists. Okay, that's a good thing. Women journalists tend to leave the profession earlier, probably having to do with childbirth, same as it always has been. Increase in the number of minority journalists, another of their findings. Journalists are more likely to be college graduates. Okay. Gender pay gap closes. That's good as well. And then there was this. More journalists say they are Democrats, and there's a bar graph that accompanies this data for the benefit, thank you, Randy, of those who are watching on YouTube. TC, take a look at that, and you will see that in 1971, 25.7% of journalists were Republican. 35% were Democratic or Democrats. And there have always been more Democrats than Republicans. But I want to focus your attention on the shrinking percentage of journalists who say they are Republican.
I thought this graph was shocking.
Yeah, and we're showing it.
I know.
You must watch on YouTube.
Yes.
You cannot listen only on POTUS, although we love you listening on POTUS.
Do it all.
25% in 71 were Republican. The number goes to 18.8% in 82, then down to 16%, then down to 18%, then down to 7%. The current percentage of journalists who identify as Republican, 3.4%. That's it. 36% Democrat, 51%, yours truly among them, independent.
Wow. That 3.4% is stunning to me. Stunning. And maybe it's because I feel like the 3.4% is very loud. And
Yes.
maybe I'm just talking about the one cable outlet.
Yep.
And I don't know what their individual, I assume they're Republican. Maybe it's an incorrect assumption.
I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
But only 3.4?
They're all there.
They're all there.
They're
doing great.
But it makes...
So really, I'm like, okay, fine, but I'm not worried about it.
But doesn't it make the point that is a mantra of mine about the outsized influence of still largely men with microphones so dominant an impact on our political conversation, and yet they're only 3.4?
That's what's shocking to me.
They're
loud.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, now to the point you just made, the cable ratings, the sort of the final ratings for 2023 came out. You like to make fun of me for being on the 6th. But Fox News closed out the year on top. That's not really revelatory because they usually are. The network scored the top 6 shows in the cable industry, with The 5 becoming the first non-primetime show to land at number 1 in the key demo of 25 to 54 and in total viewers. That is so shocking that a 5 p.m. show...
That is not shocking to me.
A 5 p.m. show.
It's not shocking to me.
Let me tell you
You talk about it all the time. People in my orbit that are
I'm
Fox people
out.
talk about... No. People talk about it all the time.
Well, I'm complimentary.
The fact that it's in the demo is what's shocking.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm complimentary to the 5 because of two things. One, the mix of their content, something that I pride myself on here on POTUS and in the newsletter, mixing it up and always trying to know what people are really interested in talking about.
Yes.
And also the personalities that they have.
Right.
Look, CNN had that conversation with me in 2023. I'm trying to get the years right. About they would never say to me like, we want to replicate what they do on the 5.
No.
But I don't think they get, like, it's the personality mixes that is key.
Yes.
In that show.
You have to have good chemistry,
right,
to make it work.
Yep.
And it has to be genuine.
Yep.
And then they also seem to really their topic mix. So it's not just the characters; it's the topics that they talk about.
Yeah.
That they have not only harder news and politics, obviously, but they also have the animals or the
animals are great. Animals are great.
Go.
Those who watch, they know what I'm talking about. Greg Gutfeld does that.
It's entertaining.
Yes,
there you
exactly. Also, now that was a cable comment.
Yes.
Now, with regard to telecasts in 2023 generally, like, what did we most watch? You know what we most watched? Football, 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 and football.
And more football.
And more football.
But that's a good thing because maybe the country can get together on something.
But it's amazing. Like, all of the top shows were the top 10.
Right. The big game, this championship, these playoffs, this playoffs.
Yes.
Yep.
Speaking of which, can I say that I was really thrilled with the way that my book club special, which aired on December 30, and if you do on demand, Smerconish, say it into your clicker, you can watch my book club special if you never got a chance to see it.
It looked good.
Didn't it?
It sounded good. It went fast. It was, speaking of entertaining, I have to say, I am, and I get accused of this often, I am a cheerleader for you. I'm a big fan of yours.
As you should be.
But damn, that one was good.
And
it was
what was amazing?
Good.
We're talking about the fact that CNN said to me, we don't want you completely off between Christmas and New Year's.
New thing, by the way.
New thing. We know you're not going to come in and do a live show on December 30. That would be, frankly, disruptive to the staff. Tape something. And I said, okay, I want to tape a book club special. We did it. We were so prepared. We were so organized that we put that show in the can in 50 minutes.
Having just had a celebratory luncheon.
Yeah. I had one Bloody Mary in me when we did it.
By the way, maybe that's a lesson for you. I'm just saying.
But the show was great. I was thrilled with the way that it turned out. It's funny. My friend Blair Sable, formerly of Philadelphia, now in Arizona.
Of course.
Friend of Judith Regan, the publisher.
Yes.
Blair complimented me about book club, like, why this has got to be a permanent show.
Okay.
I said, I'm not angling for it.
I asked the same thing. I said, anyone from CNN reach out?
And then she said to me, Judith, and I know she means Judith Regan.
Right.
Judith said to her, people don't read books the way that they used to. And I said back to Blair, okay, I hope that people... I haven't seen ratings for that. And right. I don't know that I'll put much stock in them because it was Christmas week
Probably
anyway.
Get them today. I'm just
Probably tomorrow. Because of the holiday. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but here's the point. Judith said people aren't reading books that much anymore. And my response was to say, I conducted those interviews, I hope, in a way that you didn't need to have read David Brooks's book. You certainly didn't need to have read Robert Sapolsky's book.
Well, no, for sure. I mean, talk about entertaining. My gosh. But no, you didn't. 1. 2, it makes you want to read them. 3, maybe people aren't like reading hardbacks anymore, but aren't people still looking for content in some way? And are they listening to them on audiobook? Are they doing something? Are they consuming them in some way?
How about all the author interviews I do here on POTUS?
I think people enjoy them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I always present it in a way like I'm not asking about the intricacies of what's on page 73 without appreciating that the audience has not yet had a chance to read it because the authors who come on this program have only just released the books.
That's really interesting, but I'm also hoping that people maybe have read or will continue to read.
Another tale that I'll tell out of school.
I love it.
I have seen the Amazon rankings for 3 of the 5 authors who were my guests.
How'd you do?
How did they do?
No,
they had
how did you do?
Enormous leaps.
That's awesome.
In the sale of their books from being on the show. So we'll see. Robert Sapolsky, the Stanford rocket scientist. I love this guy. I love this guy. He's the one who says there's no such thing as free will. What are you about to cue up here?
So go ahead. You explain who he is, and then I have a piece
He's
from
a
him.
MacArthur Genius recipient. He's an academic god. His videos on YouTube his TED Talks have been watched a bazillion times. But that's his premise, that like we have no free will.
We have no free will. Everything we do is
predestined, preordained, predetermined.
It's just like
it's going to happen.
Not up to us. And so you asked the question, which I thought was a good question, which is, wait a minute. So why are we putting people in jail? Why are we even putting anybody in trouble?
We'll have to open the jails.
Have that exchange.
Yeah.
Here you go.
If you're right, if Dr. Robert Sapolsky is right, and there's no such thing as free will, then by rights, we ought to open the jails.
We should open the jails. We should open the corporate men's clubs also. I'm fishing for what an equivalent is here, because nobody deserves to be in jail. Nobody deserves to have a corner office as their CEO. Nonetheless, we got to have people running corporations, and we need to have people taken off the street who are dangerous.
Okay, but wait a minute.
And we need to
in the academic realm. Well, wait a second.
let
me just say this. I'm okay with opening the jails, but I am not for opening up the corporate clubs because I'm in one of them. I cannot have that.
Okay, but
please release everybody onto the street, but not in my club.
But it seemed to me that he said we do need to have some people, like dangerous people, off the streets, but while understanding that what they've done is not their responsibility.
He also said that there are some bad people who need to be kept behind
bars. He did say
bars.
that.
I want to figure out.
I was a little confused by that.
I want to have him back on the program. I love the conversation. Please watch it.
All 3.
We also had a story over the break at Smerconish.com and in the newsletter about a recent college graduate who made it his business via social media, of course, to eat 26 different death row meals. He went out and looked at like what were the last meals that were requested by usually serial killers, and then he ate them.
This was fascinating to me. Maybe a little creepy, but very fascinating. Like Ricky Ray Rector, convicted murderer, requested steak, fried chicken, a cherry Kool-Aid, and pecan pie, and then died of lethal injection. I mean, it's pretty creepy. It's pretty creepy.
Well, going back to the 5, it's all about the mix.
Ted Bundy evidently did not want to choose a final meal, and they chose for him steak, hash browns, eggs, toast, juice, and milk. Evidently, Timothy McVeigh. How about that one?
Should we put this guy on TV?
2 pints of mint chocolate ice cream.
Right.
Chocolate chip ice cream. I thought that was very
2
interesting.
pints, not 1, 2.
Ooh.
Okay.
By the way, he ranked them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, to TC's point, all these stories, if you missed it in the first go round, hey, you were busy, our open rate probably declined. We get it during the course of the Christmas
Click
break.
back.
Go back and look at the archives within Smerconish.com. More headlines now. Today's poll question: would keeping Trump off the ballot hurt or help democracy? Of course, I know that what will win, quote unquote, win today's poll question will be those who say keeping Trump off the ballot will help democracy. I want to see the number of hurt. I want to know, and here's my Mendoza line. Will we get to a third who say it would actually hurt democracy if Trump were kept off by the 14th Amendment challenges? That's what I'm heading for today. It is a Tuesday. We are back on schedule. Jack Oman, the Pulitzer Prize winning cartoonist. TC, I love this. Picking up on Nikki Haley.
Yep.
And the comment that the inability that she had to talk about the role of slavery in the Civil War, which has spurred me to ask you to invite Kenneth Davis, who owns the Don't Know Much About History, among other things, franchise. Tomorrow he'll be on the program, and I want to ask him, what should Nikki Haley have said?
It seems like, to me, I use the baseball term, it's an unforced error. It's an unforced error. There's just no reason that we're even talking about that.
And
zero.
The other thing is, what was the weakest part of Nikki Haley's response to all of this was to say the question was a Democratic plant. Really? That's such a hard question?
And who cares? Right, exactly. Who cares? Like, what newspapers do you read? Just answer the question. It's not.
I would hope a Democratic plant would come up with something better. Something that disgusts me. I'm convinced technology will solve this, and we'll be able to figure out with ease who's logging these calls. The swatting stories. The Shenna Bellows, who is the Maine Secretary of State, who bumped Trump off the ballot, subject to this. Some members of Congress I think it is so appalling, A, that you would tie up the resources of emergency responders, but B, that like it's one thing if a family calls 911 because they need help. It's quite another if you startle someone with police at their door.
Oh, no, it's everything.
Horrible.
It's horrible. And it's definitely, there's a crying wolf aspect of it. Like, the police have to respond. So then what are they thinking in their head? Like, this is not true. This is true. No, they have to take every single case as though it's true. It's terrible.
Terrible.
I agree.
Jeffrey Epstein's list going to be released this week.
Lot of
Bill
sex
Clinton
news.
apparently
Lot
on
of
it
sex
many
news.
times over. So get ready for that. Okay. We got another one we have to circle back to. Okay. So there was the Virginia House of Delegate candidate streaming sexual acts with her husband.
Chatterbait.
Right? Chatterbait. Yes, I almost forgot.
How could you?
So there was that case. Then there's the Florida couple.
Right.
And she's the, Moms for Liberty. He was the head of the Republican Party. He's been kind of nude. Right?
Right.
Now comes the chancellor in the Wisconsin university system. And with his wife, again.
The question is, how common is this?
Apparently pretty damn common.
Apparently really common.
The chancellor of a state university in Wisconsin fired this week after posting pornographic videos with his wife online. The regents unanimously decided to dismiss him. His name is Joe Gao. Of course, we're going to invite him on this program.
Sexy, happy couple.
Because
I want them both.
Yeah. Right, that's the way they identify themselves.
They've done it for years.
Like,
but now
what's the problem?
they just posted it.
Yeah,
they're fine with it. What is wrong with you? And the best part about it is the cooking part.
Oh yeah, with porn stars.
They would interview porn stars, cook with them, and then have sex. I mean, what more could you want in life? Truly amazing.
Well, hey, there's this fodder for you. You love doing food segments for TC
After
After Dark, right? Get one of those porn actresses on to talk about why they appear on those things. This is distressing. 1 in 5 young Americans have a positive view of Osama bin Laden. Can you believe that? That story as well was covered at Smerconish.com during the course of the break. Patty Davis, daughter of Ronald and Nancy Reagan, a book coming out. Excerpts of it were published during the course of the break, and she talks about the relationship between Ronald Reagan. You know, it's funny. My mother never forgave Ronald Reagan for divorcing Jane Wyman. I recognize that probably a small percentage of people who are watching or listening even know who that is.
Now people know she was right.
Ronald Reagan's first wife, and apparently Reagan. Patty Davis's version is that Reagan made a pledge to his ex-wife that he would not get married before her. But what would be the explanation for that? Because it would make it more difficult for her to find someone?
That was the explanation, but I don't know. Right.
Okay, and instead, Nancy Reagan gets pregnant out of wedlock with Ronald Reagan. When Nancy breaks the news to Reagan at Chasen's, no less, in Los Angeles, he gets up from the table and he calls, I guess from a payphone, Jane Wyman. Right. No, or operator, can you connect me? And says, hey, I got to get married now.
I got to get married. Yeah.
And Patty was born like 6 months
after the wedding.
Right. So
Amazing.
There you go.
Wow.
There's a lot more.
They called it a slim but revealing book.
Subscribe, please, to Smerconish.com, the daily newsletter. Turn on a friend. We have big things planned in 2024. Give TC some play with TC After Dark. Thank you for listening and watching. We'll see you.